This is CBS Sports HQ. The NBA draft had a number of surprises for us last night. An unpredictable top three, a few trades that caught the eye and made teams better, and lots of tears as dreams come true for players and their families, and some fashion statements as well. And the odds are good we'll see these picks on the court. This past season, all first-round picks from the 2021 draft featured in at least one game. All right, in terms of draft grades, our Colin Ward-Henninger and Kyle Boone were up until the wee hours of the morning, grading the teams after the draft. Here are the notable grades. You can see the full report card with analysis over on CBSSports.com. Now let's bring in one of the authors of said article, Colin Ward-Henninger, who has yet to get some sleep. I mean, he had a little bit of sleep earlier in the day, but between noon and now, Colin has simply been doing stretching and some exercises. Colin, we spoke earlier today about draft fits for some of these picks, players who fit the system that they've been drafted into, but now let's talk about these grades. First, what parameters did you use to grade the teams and the picks?
Yeah, basically what you're looking at is, one, was that the right player in the right spot? Did you overdraft? Two, did you get a player who has upside, who has some potential? And three, did you get a player that fit what you needed? So ultimately, if you're looking at a draft in its totality, you're not just looking at one pick, you're not just looking at another pick. You're saying, what did this team do on draft night to improve their team? You look at the totality of those picks, and then you decide, did they help, or did they hurt, or did they basically fall flat? And there were a few teams that clearly improved their stock, a few others who, could have done better in their position. So really that's what you're looking at when you're trying to evaluate a draft. Obviously, we don't know whether these picks are going to pan out, but based on the evaluations that we have, the educated guesses that we have, we try to figure out who improved and who probably, hurt themselves a little bit.
Okay, so let's go through some of these. We start with the Pelicans. They received one of the top grades in the draft. Take us through why they were so successful.
Yeah, I think the Pelicans hit an absolute home run here, A+ grade. They added to their team in ways that are not only going to help them in the future, but they're going to help them next season. Dyson Daniels is a tremendous point guard prospect. He's huge, he's 6'8", he's strong. He is a defensive-minded prospect, which is something that the Pelicans need at that position. They tried out Devontae Graham and guys like that last year. Didn't really work out. So now, Daniels might even be able to slot into the starting lineup immediately, given his maturity coming out of the G League Ignite program. He's also a ball mover. He's not necessarily a guy who's going to go out there and run 500 pick and rolls, but he can certainly keep the ball moving, get the ball to the scorers. The Pelicans have enough offensive around him. They don't need him to do too much. And then they were also able to pick up E.J. Liddell in the second round. This is a guy who was rated as a top 20 prospect on some people's boards. Their forwards, their centers, Jonas Valanciunas, Jackson Hayes, Larry Nance, they can't really shoot. So getting a guy like E.J. Liddell who can step out, knock down a jumper, tremendous defensive player with blocks and steals, I think the Pelicans just added to their arsenal and really are ready to build off of what was a great end to the season last year.
All right, the universe smiling on the Pistons. Detroit likely shocked to see Jaden Ivey fall to them at 5. I mean, easy pick there. How did their picks address their glaring needs?
Yeah, like you said, a gift from the heavens that Jaden Ivey fell into their lap. I'm sure they had him circled on their draft board just because of the way that he fits with Cade Cunningham. We know how great Cade Cunningham can be and look towards the end of last season. But he's more of a facilitator. He's not necessarily a guy that's going to go out there and get you 30 every single night. Jaden Ivey is that type of guy. So if you put him next to Cade Cunningham, that creates an absolutely dynamic combination that is going to terrorize this league for years to come. They also got much more athletic by going out and getting Jalen Duren. This is a guy who has a 7'5" wingspan, can jump out of the gym, will catch lobs, will run out in transition. Also a defensive prospect. He wasn't the greatest defender in college, but he can block shots with that wingspan, and he has the mobility potentially to be a switch defender. So I think in adding Ivey and Duren, they got extremely athletic. They are perfect pieces to put next to Cade Cunningham. So the Pistons are really setting themselves up to be good 4 or 5 years down the road.
Yeah, we see the Pistons getting that A+ grade from you guys. All right, Charlotte had an active night. You saw Jalen Duren there. I mean, they drafted him, then traded him to the Pistons. So Mark Williams addresses a need for them, though. Talk us through the grade that you gave them.
Yeah, Mark Williams, Jalen Duren would have done a similar thing, but he got traded to two teams in 5 minutes. But they ended up with Williams, who is just an absolute beast, right? This is a Charlotte team that has needed a center for a very long time. You put him in the middle next to LaMelo Ball, running those pick and rolls, throwing lobs. He's 7 feet tall, 7'7" wingspan, throws down ferocious dunks if you ever watched him in college. So to get a guy like that who can defend the rim on one hand with his shot blocking ability, and then on the other end be able to catch lobs and be in that dunker spot for pick and rolls, this is something that Charlotte has craved for a long time. They were looking, for some center help with Miles Turner and guys like that. I don't think they're going to need that now. I think Williams is a guy who a few years ago might have gone in the top 5 of the draft given his skill set, but because how the center position has been devalued, they were able to snag him at 15. So I think this is a huge pickup for the Charlotte Hornets, and that's why I ended up giving them such a good grade.
Yeah, they get an A- from you and Kyle Boone. Lastly, let's talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. While some teams are building for the future, teams like the Bucks are in their title-winning window, and the pieces they added reflect that, don't they, Colin?
Yeah, they do. They went for, an older prospect in Marjon Beauchamp. A lot of people think that he's younger because he played for the G League Ignite. He'll actually be 22 years old by the time the season starts. So immediately being able to slot into a team with championship aspirations. What I love most about Beauchamp is his grittiness, his toughness. He didn't have an easy road. He played at some junior colleges, thought about giving up on the game for a while. If you watched him during the draft, after he got picked, he was in tears. He was bawling. He was so happy. This is a guy going to a team with Giannis Antetokounmpo, who has never been given anything in his life. He's had to scrap Chris Middleton, a second-round pick. Drew Holiday's been undervalued his entire career. Beauchamp can slot in right on the wing. He's not the greatest shooter, but he's going to play hard. He's going to get out in transition, and he's going to defend with the ability, potential to grow into something bigger. So I really love what the Bucks did there with their 24th pick. There weren't a lot of options for them. You see other teams trading out of spots like that, but they decided to go with Beauchamp, and I think that was the right pick.
Getting a B+ from you guys. He is CBS Sports basketball writer Colin Ward-Henninger, who was up until 6 a.m. this morning doing draft grades and analysis. Colin, we love you. We appreciate you. Go get some rest. Let's recap Colin and Kyle's top 10 draft grades in terms of the teams that fulfilled their needs the most in the draft. Pelicans with Dyson Daniels, Pistons getting Jaden Ivey. The full list with analysis and breakdown grades available over on CBSSports.com.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.